Okay, hello and good luck to Huttenberger. Do I want to play first? No. As you know, my deck does not want to. I want cards. It does leave me weak to a an aggressive hand, which is probably what's in the finals, considering all of the decks we've seen so far, these really dorky decks. But that's fine. I will keep this. It's definitely not amazing, but I do have a Hero's Downfall and possibly Divine Verdict in order to remove some early threats, and then Nessian Ass with an Unknown Shores means it's castable if I get to actually enough lands. And we are seeing an aggressive color here. Ooh, glad to have that Plains first, though, in case we get our full-length leader online. Ooh, it looks like, yeah, we're going to have the aggressive blue-white deck to contend with. Might keep the Hero's Downfall. Yeah, we're probably just going to Hero's Downfall that ordeal. Yeah, basically have to. It could get countered. These decks tend not to do that, so I don't think it's going to happen. Ooh, but of course there's always... God's Willing, which is actually what I should be more worried about. I should have just cast it. There's no reason not to. There's no way my opponent was going to play another card on it, and I should have done it while my opponent had less cards and less options. No counterspell up, and no anything else. Because now, if my opponent does get rid of this, my opponent's going to gain 10 life next turn, because I don't have a way to deal with it. I mean, I'll probably Divine Verdict, because it's still a huge 5/5 at that point, but that is horrible. Stymied Hopes? Really? Oh, Void Descent. Interesting. Okay. So my opponent wants the 2-drop. That is interesting. That is very interesting. And that is very good. We still got a 2-for-1. Even though my opponent does have the 2/2 out, we get to go ahead and play a guy. We'll be able to Vigilance it up next turn. We'll be in some pretty good shape. We even have Nessian Asp and Divine Verdict backed up. Ooh, and a Traveler's Amulet. I'm going to go ahead and go for the Bestow. Worst thing my opponent can do is burn a card to put it back in my hand or on top of my library or something. And I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with attacking in because pretty much the only pumps that my opponent would have are +2/+2. So that means this guy should do well in combat. There's the training tactics that could be paired. But even then my guy doesn't die from training tactics. I think we're okay. What am I missing? Turn to Swine? Well, that's going to get us anyway if that's the case. So I can't be helping that in any way, shape, or form. Griptide? Now? Breaching Hippocamp. I see. Are you going to double block? And Triton Tactics? Triton Tactics? Triton Tactics. So that was an interesting interaction that we did not plan for. We still got a card out of my opponent, and I still have my 2/2. Now my opponent's doing its own version of attacking and whatnot. I'm okay with taking 7 here, because my opponent's out of gas. We'll be able to Divine Verdict it next turn, and even have Traveler's Amulet backup. Yeah, I can't attack in, but that's okay. Yeah. I assume there's no block here because my opponent has to know I have something. My opponent did know that I have something. Play that guy. I'll still go get a forest. There's no reason not to. Let's see. I'll take the 2. I'm going to go ahead and Divine Verdict now. Oops. See if my opponent has a way to deal with Divine Verdict, like a whatever, and then I could have chosen to block or not. I'm not going to block the Traveling Philosopher because I'll have my Asp soon enough. Omen Speaker is okay. We are low on life, and there is enough pressure coming where that's going to matter, but the Asp in this Pharika's Cure should be pretty okay. I think this allows us to have both up, right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So that's great. Ooh, and a Scholar is going to be very key here. Representing Pharika's Cure, which I like. I don't really want to attack in with the Alciad in case there's a pump. Maybe I do. Get an attack in. If my opponent wants to block, then I use the Pharika's Cure on it then. But I'd rather just save it for, like if my opponent tries to bestow or something, and then I can in response use the Pharika's Cure. So we just do an Asp and then block, and then in any way, shape, or form that my opponent's trying to do. Ooh, that's a bummer. It does mean I have to use a Pharika's Cure, and if my opponent has something to block it, that's going to be a little scary because I'm taking 3, going down to 5. But that's not a permanent solution to my big old dude, and getting 2 life is kind of key here. We'll block that guy. See what happens. Nothing? Alright. Kill this guy, which was pretty well signaled. Blood Harpy is good. Not too sure I'm in a position to use it yet. 1, 2, 3. Love that the Asp is available, but I'd rather just get the Scholar down. And actually be able to start using it. If I attack in with Asp, I don't have a whole lot of damage coming through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I think it is time to put the pressure on. While Divine Verdict is not available. Should have attacked first before Scholar was played, if that was the case. Opponent wants to keep making aggression a game plan. There must be some kind of pump here. Perhaps a Dauntless Onslaught. No, a Divine Verdict. I'm okay with that being used on it instead of the Asp. That's for sure true. Ooh, Swamp is not awesome. Attack in. I can Monstrosity the Asp. Put my opponent down to 5. I think it's time to get the Harpy out, actually. Does lose me a point, but also gains me a blocker. And it puts my opponent into lethal with the Nessian Asp, which means something has to be blocked back. The next thing I'm thinking about is Sea God's Revenge, which will start getting me, which is why we're just going to go ahead and rock the blocks at this point. Dauntless Onslaught does completely get me. Do I care about that? No. I didn't think my opponent had... Oh, this is just nutty. My opponent has Grip Tide. I'm actually okay. My opponent has to play it here. Yeah. There's no way my opponent can come back from that. Wow, and we were running lands after that. So good thing we were able to do what we did there. Now, my opponent being that aggressive means a Fair's Warren could work, but I think I'm too slow for that. I might want this on ours, and what don't I want? God, Phalanx Leader, you are so good. Guardians of Miletus, pretty weak. I have plenty of 3-drops. Maybe I just want another 5, which will eat a bunch of my opponent's dudes, and the 3/5's going to be pretty relevant. I think I like that over the Guardians. Yeah, I prefer that. Okay, I presume my opponent will play first. We have to keep, even though it's a weak keep, the 1/3 should keep us alive, and we have things to do with our mana. And we're going to draw Phalanx Leader, as we've been doing all game. And Battle Priest with the Battle-Wise Valor and such isn't the end of the world. Snarecaster, that's perfect. Exactly what I want to see, to be honest. Thanks to this guy. Attacking in? No. Good. So no combat trick at the moment that you want to be spending. Do I want to go on the aggressive? No, I think I'm good with this guy just holding on D and then playing my aerial attack here. Counterspell? No, too late. You already did that. Cool. Really want to get a green source, because this Asp is, I think, super key in the matchup. My opponent can't deal with the Asp that well. There's a Voyage's End and a little bit here or there, but I should be able to deal with it very, very well. Definitely want to play the land out first, so I can Divine Verdict of Breaching Hippocamp or something, even though it doesn't fly. I don't know, but I'm going to start doing the aerial thing. I like having Divine Verdict up. Cryptide? No, Breaching Hippocamp. Okay. I'll do a Battle-Wise Valor so I can try to dig for Forest. I probably wouldn't do that otherwise, but it eats the Hippocamp, which allows me to keep racing. I gain 2 life, and I can dig for a Forest. There could be a bounce or a combat trick as well. I don't care about the Cetessan Battle Priest that much. I would like to scry, though. That would be cool. Cryptide? Divine Verdict. Cool. It is a 2-for-1. There are still a couple of triggers here or there, at least with the 2 life. And it does force my opponent to use the Divine Verdict on that instead of something more relevant, like an Nessian Asp. Hey, and I ripped the Forest anyway, like a champ. I'm F6ing because Trident Attack is the only thing that can be played, and since there's no flyer, that doesn't matter. Prescient Chimera we'll have to keep up our Divine Verdict for, even though Nessian Asp gets it pretty okay. If I attack in with the Blood Toll Harpy, I can Divine Verdict the Prussian Chimera, which is kind of cool. I get the Nessian Asp for backup, and I like being on the aggressive. If I attack in with the Asp, my opponent can just double block or triple block. My opponent triple blocks, I still get a Divine Verdict and then kill a bunch of things, but then that Asp does go down. I want to be on the aggressive while my opponent's tapped out. So we're going to attack in with a Blood Toll Harpy and show the Divine Verdict. And my opponent does nothing, which is great. Okay, my opponent draws a card. He's going to get to draw 2 cards, probably. Okay. Phalanx Leader is sweet. I have Monstrosity available. My opponent now has more untapped mana, including a God's Willing untap. So if I were to attack, do a Divine Verdict, I just get eaten that way. So I will just pass the turn with Monstrosity up and Divine Verdict up. I'm in a commanding position. I have 2 good cards in hand. My opponent has 2 cards. We don't really know exactly what that is. Another Breaching Hippocamp. Okay. I thought about doing the Monstrosity in response, but there's really no point to it because my opponent can still bounce it or do something after I do that. Okay. Well, that's grand. My opponent didn't have anything after that. Attack in for 8 with a Divine Verdict up. Still same issue. My opponent's tapped out. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2. So I think we'll just play this late game. Wait for my opponent to let the guard down. And I can be patient right now. A little bit worried about Sea God's Revenge. Because I'm taking 3, 6, 9, 11. I go down to 10, and then I'm really behind on the board. Divine Verdict still gets me something, but man, oh man, would that be scary. So I draw a Nessian Asp next turn. It can be countered. My opponent's going in for it all. 6, 7, 8. I'm actually fine taking 8 here, because I don't think I want to trade off anything. I like my flyer better, and I'll just go ahead and Divine Verdict. Oops. Sorry, a little bit of lag here. The Prussian Chimera, it allows my opponent to draw a card, but the flying is what matters, and unfortunately Fate Foretold has become a 2-turn, or a 2-mana divination already. Cool. Asp resolves. Trying Tactics gets me, so I'm just going to do the Blood Toll Harpy because the Phalanx Leader is too powerful to get eaten by Trying Tactics. And we do have some nice defense now with the Nessian Asp. Plenty of things to be targeting, such as with the Phalanx Leader. Argument, though, I might just want to start putting on the Blood Toll Harpy. No, I don't care about the life gain, and it's going to get the same amount of power online, so let's go ahead and do that. Would love to be able to attack in for some life gain, but we're just going to keep our 3-turn clock happening. I am somewhat amazed that this deck is getting there. We're not out of the woodwork yet. Sea God's Revenge, Sea God's Revenge. Oh, and we got it. But I really confused how this deck won. But maybe that was just the draft and the power level of the cards in the draft. Or I think it's just an example of how it's actually really fun to play the deck. But I was only get to playing it because I was pretty lucky being able to draw the key parts of the deck that I built. I mean, you do get to showcase how amazing the different bestow creatures are, especially in combination with something like a Phalanx Leader. But I think I also played against some pretty weak decks. I mean, look at what I have here. 2 Breaching Hippocamps, a Land and Skycaster, and a Fate Foretold. I mean, yeah, Divine Verdict, Riptide, and Impression Chimera are fine, but this is like the opponent's deck in the finals. And then the other 2 decks I was playing were also just as wonky 3-colory as mine, so you never know. Ooh, and yeah, we were just destroying after this later on. But thanks for watching. I hope you did enjoy kind of a different type deck and that we got to actually see it perform a little bit thanks to luck draws. I'm Ryan from Mana Bluff. Comment on Mana Bluff and I will respond. I promise. Or you can try YouTube, comment, subscribe, and like is always appreciated. And I do try my best to check those as well, but I don't guarantee that. Twitter would be a great place to have a chat. Find me __RJH ___. And until next time, we'll see you next Friday. Peace out.